Local programming on KRWG made possible in part by viewers like you. Thank you.
Welcome to Fronteras, a Changing America. I'm Edmundo Resendez. On today's Fronteras, we are looking at the issue of homelessness. Tarek Jackson found himself homeless at the age of 15 when his mom lost her job and her home in Renton, outside of Seattle. Terry is currently in transitional housing, but struggling with the reality of having to juggle 3 jobs to be able to afford an apartment once his time in transition is up.
Route 48 to University District, Central District.
I'm struggling to find that what I want to do in life and what I actually can do right now is not on the same level. I can't really do what I want to do right now. I gotta just survive. I was 15 when I became homeless. My mom had a really good job, and then she lost that job for whatever reason. I don't know. I was going to school, just being a kid, and I guess she fell back behind on her rent because, the place that we were living at was a little bit more. Basically got priced out of the place that we were living at the time. I didn't really realize what was going on. I just knew that, hey, Mom's not as happy as she was before, and, she seems a little bit sad. And then I found out because we were getting ready to lose our housing. So after we got evicted, we went to my grandparents' house. My mom was trying to find another job and more housing. She found out she needed to go to a shelter to qualify for more housing, and my grandparents moved out of town, so I couldn't stay there anymore. I never thought I'd be in that position. I had to stay at McDonald's a few nights. Sometimes I'd go to sleep, but then the employees would be like, hey, you can't sleep here. Or just stay up and just wander around downtown Renton was the area that we were in at that point in time. Eventually, I ended up meeting my girlfriend, and I was staying at her mom's house, so I was just couch surfing, but that didn't work out. It really forced me to think and realize some things, like where I'm at now and where I can go and how I can help myself to get there. I really love and respect my mom a lot. I know whatever happened was most likely out of her control. She helped it as much as she could, and the situation, it got worse. And I don't ever blame her. It's not her fault. So my current housing situation, I'm in a transitional living facility. One of the things about transitional housing, there's a time limit that you have to be there. It's about 1.5 years-ish. And then once that time comes, you're supposed to move on. And a lot of times you either going right back to homelessness or to another transitional housing facility. The struggles that I'm seeing with finding permanent housing after my transitional housing is the increasing rent prices and just how overpriced it is really everywhere. I said I'm making $1,700 a month between the 2 jobs. I dishwash, and I have another job at the Mockingbird Society as a chapter leader for the chapter, Youth Advocates Ending Homelessness.
The Mockingbird Society, we work with youth and young adults who all have experience with foster care or homelessness to become their own best advocates, and that's done through youth programming, but as well as legislative work and policy change. Terry got involved with Mockingbird Society actually before I did, and right after I came on, a chapter leader position opened up. Terry, is working, right? Terry is trying to afford rent in Seattle. So we recognize that, and we want to pay those folks, a wage that really values their time and values their expertise and demonstrates that.
I'm finding it's really impossible to find affordable housing for me personally, just because it's so expensive. I'd have to work so many hours a week, at least 80 or something, and make more than what I'm making at the minimum wage right now. At first, in my free time, I wanted to go to school and pursue my education and get my business license. I really want to open up a restaurant and be a business owner, but I have to work a lot more now. I have to get a 3rd job and maybe even a 4th job. I really don't want to go back to being homeless. So what gets me through is I think about my future and where I want to be and all the people I want to help and all the things that I want to do, and mostly help my mom and take care of her. Just really imagining, putting myself there in that business suit in my restaurant, you know, in my office. All this hard work will pay off. Just really believing that my struggles and all this is to be learned from and gained and overcome and used for something better.
On today's Fronteras, A Changing America, we take a look at the issue of homelessness in our community. The Las Cruces Gospel Rescue Mission remains the only shelter in the city that offers Christian guidance, provides emergency food and lodging services 24 hours every day, uses no tax dollars, and seeks to re-assimilate the less fortunate into productive society. Randy Smith is the shelter director for the Las Cruces Gospel Rescue Mission, and he is our guest today on Fronteras, A Changing America. Randy, welcome to Fronteras.
Thank you.
Let's start out with your story. You've been involved with the Las Cruces Gospel Rescue Mission now for 4 years, but you were involved with it before.
Yes, my story, I have experienced the three key elements that I see in homelessness. I suffer from a mental illness that's medicated. I've had substance abuse problems, and I ended up homeless after a divorce. I came to the Gospel Rescue Mission for their recovery program, their New Life Recovery Program. And once I graduated from that, I moved out on my own and didn't feel like things were going as well as I wanted them to. I felt drawn back to the mission so that I could help others.
Why is it important for you to help others?
I believe that's what God wants from me, to love my neighbors myself, and what that looks like is me helping anybody I come into contact with. That's my primary goal. And anything else is just, happiness is just a byproduct of that.
How do you see the issue of homelessness in our community? Is it a big problem?
I think it's escalated with the economy. We're seeing a lot of people are becoming temporarily homeless that have had houses and cars, families, usually due to divorces or things like that, things that are unplanned for. And so more middle-class citizens are ending up homeless temporarily, and we give them a base of operations to use so that they can get back on their feet and climb out of that hole that is homelessness.
How do people go about finding the Las Cruces Gospel Mission?
Usually people get referred by other organizations, hospitals, various social workers, things like that.
How does the Las Cruces Gospel Rescue Mission serve? Who does it serve? Who are your typical clients?
Well, we have a clientele of two different types of people, the way I see it. We have the temporarily homeless, people that were doing great and then something happened in their lives and they became homeless. We help them get back on their feet. But we also serve what I call the professional homeless, the people that for one reason or another have decided that life is too difficult and society is too hard, and they've just kind of given up and they just live outside the bounds of society.
What kind of problems do these people typically have? You mentioned mental health issues, substance abuse issues.
A lot of times an untreated mental health issue is the doorway into homelessness, because you're dealing with a disease of perception. And if someone's perception is skewed, they can't make reasonable, rational decisions. And that usually leads them to end up on the street when they've exhausted all their resources with their own families. There's a saying that people are not homeless because they run out of money. They're homeless because they run out of relationships.
And you see that a lot in the Gospel Rescue Mission.
Yes, I do.
What are some of the stories that people talk about when they come into the Gospel Rescue Mission? How did they wind up in that situation? And I would imagine that a lot of them never imagined themselves in that kind of situation.
No, that's very true. I see a lot of people that ended up they made a mistake, had a brush with the law. Then that put them in a different category of citizenship, a troublemaker. And then it's harder to find opportunities where people are willing to overlook your past. So it kind of snowballs from there. Or there's a relationship that doesn't work out and they're forced into a divorce, and their whole life was centered on that other person, and then they're by themselves with no resources. We have a lot of families that stay at the mission, a lot of single mothers with children staying at the mission, which is especially difficult during the holidays.
How many people does the mission actually serve on a daily basis?
Oh, it varies drastically. We have 100 beds.
You have 100 beds.
We have 50 on our men's side, and then we have 21 on our single women's side, and then we have a number of small family rooms for the single mothers or single fathers with children.
The Gospel Rescue Mission was founded in 1972. Who founded it? Do you know who founded it, and what was its original mission?
No, I sure don't. I probably should, but I'm not familiar.
Okay, so it was founded in 1972 here in the Las Cruces community. How does the mission work? Because you take no tax dollars. How is it funded?
We're supported entirely by the community, by various businesses and churches and private citizens who want to do what they can to help those less fortunate.
One of your goals in the mission is to re-assimilate the less fortunate into society, to be productive members of society. How difficult is that?
Well, it's very difficult, but it becomes nearly impossible if we're dealing with somebody that has an untreated mental illness, meaning that they know they have a problem, but they don't have access to their medications. I mean, climbing out of the hole that homelessness is a monumental task. If you add an untreated mental illness or a substance abuse problem, it becomes impossible. So we try and get people connected with the services that they need to get back on their feet. There's a city-run organization, the Community of Hope, across the street, and they have case management over there, and they can connect people with different agencies that can give them additional assistance.
Do you see a willingness from some of your clients in wanting to seek help, or do you find that some of them are just in complete denial of their mental health problems?
It varies. Some of them, they just look defeated, and it hurts my heart to see those. They've just given up trying, and we try and reach those with the gospel and try and draw them out and try and give them some kind of hope that there is a chance for a better life. And then there's others that are motivated, that they don't want to be down for long, and they will do whatever they need to do, take all the steps necessary, do the footwork to get, back into society.
One of the things the Gospel Rescue Mission does is that it works to find jobs for some of your clients, some day jobs, odd jobs that people can come to the Rescue Mission and hire your clients to work at. Do you find that some of the clients are just wanting to get a job and just wanting to work?
Some of them are, yes, but that has drastically been reduced from what it used to be. It used to be that there was continual requests for workers, and now it's rare that we
Is
get
it? Why
that
is
we get
that?
people to
Do you
call.
know?
I really don't know.
That's interesting. What are some of the stories that come to your mind as you find yourself working for the mission now for 4 years as the director? Some of the stories that people come to you with.
Well, it's the success stories that keep me going. We had a woman with 3 boys check into the mission, and with a bad attitude, and she was estranged from her husband, and he looked like a little gangbanger, and he ended up at the mission a few weeks afterwards, and I almost had to put him out for rules violations several different times, but we worked with them, and today they're a whole complete family unit. They went to parenting classes, anger management classes. They were on a methadone clinic to get off of drugs, and they succeeded and pulled that family together and are loving Christian people. And they've had to come back to the mission because their first foray into society didn't quite go as planned. so they're currently staying with us again. But every time I see them and those boys and the way they're behaving, and it's just a tremendous blessing and motivation for me.
Is that what motivates you, is these kind of success stories to keep you going? Because I would imagine that working in an environment where you have people that come in that are very defeated, to try to motivate them and encourage them, to let them know that they are truly not defeated, that this is the first step in their recovery.
Well, I feel really good about what I do. I'm like a mentor, and we have our New Life Recovery Program. It's not what it used to be, but it is very effective. We have a group right now of about 20 different people that ended up at the Mission Homeless that are staying there in semi-permanent circumstances. They all have jobs at the Mission. They run the front desk, the kitchen, the donations, and they go to Bible studies, and I teach these individuals, about what matters in life, about being able to admit your faults and not try and blame others, things like that, and just trying to mentor them into a happier, healthier life. And it's very rewarding.
What role does Christian guidance play when it comes to helping the less fortunate?
We hope it plays a large role. The way we operate is we give anybody a free 3-day emergency stay there. They're eligible to stay longer if they enter into a verbal contract with us. They agree to do some small chore in the morning and attend our chapel service in the evening. And we have a chapel service every evening of the year. And that exposes them to the gospel, and we hope that the Holy Spirit will work in their lives and touch them, because that's when God works the most, is when we're the most broken. And these people are broken. So we hope that the combination of putting these broken people together with someone that can share the gospel with them can create a transformation in their life.
Do you find that some of your clients are open to talking about the gospel, embracing the gospel?
Oh yes, there's a lot of them that were introduced to the gospel in childhood, but kind of walked away from God. And they're the prodigal sons, and they're very interested in what can be possible for them now.
Some of your clients are dealing with recovery. How difficult is that to manage?
Oh, it's always difficult, because substance abuse problems, alcoholism, drug addiction, it's the only disease that tells you don't have it. So it's an uphill battle from the beginning. We have a Celebrate Recovery class, which is similar to Christian AA. It doesn't focus on any specific substance or chemical. It's about just our powerless over sin in general. And they talk about it's for all your hurts, hang-ups, and habits. And it utilizes the same 12 steps that have worked in AA as well.
One of the things that's unique about the Gospel Rescue Mission is that you provide 3 meals a day. How difficult is it to come up with 3 meals a day for up to 100 homeless people in our community?
Oh, it's always a challenge, but the people we have in the kitchen are creative, and we get a tremendous amount of support from the community with food from Sam's and Walmart and Roadrunner Food Bank. And we have a tremendous amount of food, so we also act as kind of a brokerage to other food pantries in the community, different churches and things. And it's just what we do. And generally we serve about between 5,000 and 6,000 meals a month.
5,000 to 6,000 meals a month. And all of that is donated?
Yes. As a matter of fact, in Thanksgiving Day and Christmas Day, we take over the deliveries for the city's Meals on Wheels program. And we make all the food and deliver that ourselves. We have a lot of outside volunteers that come in for those 2 days that have been doing it for years, to be drivers and to help in the kitchen. And it's quite a production, but it's well worth it.
You have a core group of volunteers, up to 70 volunteers. What makes them passionate about what they do? Why do they keep coming back?
They enjoy helping others. I think that they've grabbed a hold of that lesson that joy, true joy, only comes from helping others.
And you have a staff of 7 that I would imagine do everything from top to bottom.
No, actually the volunteer programmers,
Oh,
those
do they?
20 people that work directly for me, do the lion's share of the work.
Really? And then the staff, what does the staff do?
Oversees everything to make sure things keep running right. We're involved in mentoring those 20, teaching them, helping them learn. I have a group of 6 middle managers that are the volunteer programmers that manage their peers. And so it's my job to mentor these programmers into becoming managers and teaching them job skills.
We've just wrapped up the holiday season, and typically that's a time when people decide that that's the time they want to give back and, give back to the community. But after the holidays are over, the Gospel Rescue Mission is still there. What are some of the needs that the Gospel Rescue Mission has as you deliver this message to our viewers?
Well, the weather's still cold, so we can always use blankets and coats, warm socks, gloves, things like that. With the summer coming, some of the things that we can use are like sunscreen. If you can just imagine yourself with nothing and you're going to be in the elements, what kinds of things would you think you would need? And that's what we usually need. We always need, various hygiene items, razors, deodorant, feminine hygiene products, diapers and wipes for the babies.
Is it difficult to operate without being tax funded, to only rely on community support?
No, not if you're conscious of it and careful. I mean, we feel like we're doing God's will and He's going to continue to support us.
I'll ask you again, because this is very intriguing to me that you went there as a client and now you're the director. What motivates you? What keeps making you come back to the mission doing this job?
Well, I know in my life before, I used to chase stuff to be happy. And I just got to a point where I found out that just does not work. So I decided to go back to the mission. I checked in as a guest with 2 bags of clothes to my name and worked my way up from a guest in through being a programmer, the different jobs at the mission, through being the men's supervisor, and then made it through to being the shelter director.
As you look ahead to the future of some of the clients that you have, what are your hopes and aspirations for your clients?
I would say that they really embrace a relationship with God, because if they take that, the sky's the limit. If they learn the things that I'm trying to teach them and that life is trying to teach them, and be open to new opportunities. As soon as you think you have all the answers, there's no possibility for growth after that.
Do you find it challenging when you have somebody come in from off the street that doesn't want to embrace the gospel, that doesn't want to embrace the rules? Because you have rules and guidelines that your clients must adhere to. Do you sometimes are you sometimes confronted with somebody that just, it's a grown child?
It's a constant issue. Some of the professional homeless have this sense of entitlement, and they're under the impression that we're a state-run organization, that they can work the system, and that's not true. So my job also ends up being the enforcer, unfortunately. People either follow our rules or they go somewhere else and be somebody else's problem. We need to have reasonable people staying here. We're doing our best to help them, and it's very difficult to try and do that when someone's cursing you out. And so we run pretty strict by the rules to keep everybody safe and happy.
What do you do in those moments? How do you seek solace to overcome those moments and not get frustrated and walk away?
Well, it's just part of my job in helping others. Sometimes to help others, you have to hold them accountable for their action, because life will hold them accountable for their actions.
Randy Smith, I want to thank you very much for joining us on Fronteras of Changing America, and want to wish you the best of luck.
My pleasure.
Thank you for joining us on Fronteras of Changing America. I'm Edmundo Resendez. Thank you very much.